So for Marika's hair, because I'm going to leave this section, which I'm going to be having a bit longer and disconnected, I want kind of quite a lot of hair in there to play around with. I'm going to kind of take it from the base of the recession line, just so I've got a really kind of nice wide horseshoe section. No?
Yeah, I'm really taking mine from a little bit higher because it's, if you see, although she's got Indian hair, which is really quite thick, down through the front there it can get a little bit finer. So it's just all about checking your balance really. So I'm actually just leaving a little bit more weight through there by lifting the horseshoe section to start from. Yeah, probably from like the high recession really, round about as high as you really want to go with it. Cool.
So the teardrop can be a very commercial, kind of soft, client-friendly haircut. Obviously you can use it to be more creative. As I said, it does use disconnection. It revolves around having more kind of textured layering for your horseshoe and a softer perimeter shape. But it's just very, very adaptable.
Yeah, although the brief for yours was no shaped bits, you could still technically get them in there and get as creative as you want to be.
Yeah.
No try.
So that's my horseshoe in, so I'm going to twist you out, you can see that. Just leave your head back for me. So you can see I've got a nice clean horseshoe, a nice clean line. I've incorporated the crown. It's not too wide, not too narrow, so I've got enough hair to kind of work with my creative layering. And then for the perimeter here, I'm going to be taking this quite a bit shorter. Sorry, move just as you were taking
That's
it.
all right.
So with a classic teardrop, as Noel's going to be doing, you would start on the layering first. But because I'm removing quite a lot from the perimeter, I'm going to start on my perimeter first and taking that shorter. So I'm going to be working the opposite way to Noel. What?
So I'm just going to get this nice and secured out of the way as well. As you see in the picture, we've actually got it coming with a ponytail out the back. So using a hairband, there's no shame in that really. It just really means it's nice and secured. If you've got a clip in there and you accidentally take out a piece of hair from what you're trying to section off, then it's easy to make your work quite scruffy. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, so to make it really nice and easy to work on your layering first, as Noel is, he's just going to get all that hair out of the way, which is what you would normally do if you were keeping your length and just similar to what Noel is doing. The reason we put it in a ponytail at the back is just because that way you're less likely to accidentally snag your outside section. If you put clips in, it always gets a bit saggy and it's hard to get it really tight. So do you want to show your section?
Yeah, cool. Also, if the parting's slightly, like if it's really heavily on one side, you can also shift the horseshoe over, depending on where you want your layering. Our parting is actually on this side here. So generally what you could do is if you wanted to shift the weight over, you can get more layering either on this side or this side, depending on where you want it to be. It's very visual, really. Okay, so again, just spin around. So we're just taking the horseshoe, trying to keep it nice and clean. So we're going to work through the top section and just ponytail that section out of the way. Now I'm going to work through the front. Again, this is sort of like protecting our perimeter. So we want to about 2 centimeters back or an inch in from the front. We take an arc section.
So what's unique about this haircut is that we work in these curved arc sections like Noel's taking now. And it's all disconnected, so there's no guide for this haircut. Each tier of hair is disconnected from the last, and that's why it's called the teardrop, because it's cut in disconnected tiers. Which sometimes can be a little bit unsettling because we're so used to following a guide, make sure you've got the guide, but it gives you a little bit more freedom with the haircut. And that is why then it creates what we call seamless layers, because you can't see where the layering starts and finishes. It's lots of little different lengths through it, which gets a really, really soft textured look.
If I just get you to pop your head down, Benny, if you just look down. So actually what we've done here, so from just behind the recession, we've gone back by about an inch, maybe a little bit more. created an arc-shaped section. It's really important that we make an arc-shaped section so when we put the layers in there it doesn't become blocky, or let's say we want it to be nice and seamless. From there, what I'm going to do is manipulate the hair to fall into my hand, which is really important to keep the hair nice and clean. Almost just stroking it into the hand. Just by taking very clean arc sections that follow your previous guide.
Okay, so I'm going to start on my perimeter first, as I said. So what I've done, I've just divided the hair. I've put in a radial, kind of where that would be if I followed all the way through, get the front out of the way, and I've just gone in with a really small section there. I'm working with graduation, so see the point of graduation is to accentuate that occipital bone. It's quite a feminine, nice shape to kind of hug down into the neck. So when finding the point of my section, I've kind of felt for where the occipital bone just starts to dip in there, and I've drawn a section from that point down to that little bone just in the back of our ears. So that's kind of really working to the nape area, and that's where I'm going to get that kind of shape that kind of just hugs down in from that curve. So to cut this, first of all, I'm going to work with a central profile section first. And obviously I'm taking away a lot of length, so I've got to be kind of thinking about visually what I want to end up with, and I would like this base section to be quite neat and into the nape. And lots of tension, keeping it over-directed. Sorry, down. What are you up to now?
Okay, cool. So again, very visually, what we need to do now is work out what's going to be the shortest layer. It's really important with this hair texture we don't take it too short, but also we're going to be taking quite a bit of length off here, so at the same time, because we're cutting the length last, we don't want to cut all the layers out that we just put in there, so it's really important that we look at that. The length we're looking at is just probably just between the collarbone and on the shoulders when the hair's wet. So we actually pull this out and we over-direct to create our longest point through this side, through the right-hand side, and the shortest point on the right-hand side. So the shortest point is actually going to be the length of the shortest layer. So just by very visually looking, just dropping that down, that's probably, you can really over-direct this. You can, cool. The more you over-direct it, the more weight you take out. Just get this right. Okay, so actually when you pull it out, you probably find a piece on the other side which will be as good as your guide. Okay. So pulling that down through there, I can see my shortest point is going to be just around where the jawline starts. So if I just take this first section, you can do it in two pieces, you can do it in one, however you feel comfortable. It's really important that you keep the right tension all the way through.
I'm just carrying on with my graduation here. I'm working on pivoting sections that just pivot out around for that central piece. When I work with graduation, I like to work horizontally using pivoting sections because graduation is a round shape, so I like to work with a round section pattern for it. So I'm just pivoting out and working really fine sections so that I can get a really nice clean shape. And just making sure that I elevate it slightly more each time, so I can build this graduated shape.
Okay, so once again I've taken that section, following my guide to create a section behind, and with the first one we're actually clip that out of the way because although we're not following a guide, I'm actually going to pull this out and go the opposite way. So you've really, the best way to do this is actually by keeping your body position in the same place and spinning your client around. You can have a bit of fun with that in the salon as well. Just keep spinning them. So that's probably the best way of really knowing where your guide is. The layers aren't exactly, as I say, you're not following the previous section, you just go in with what you feel. Generally get a good idea from it as you.
Yeah, you generally find you kind of feel how much you took off last time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've just finished my graduation on that side. I haven't done anything with the hairline yet, so that's still really soft. But you can see I'm just getting that little bit of shape that's just coming in. We need tidying up through the hairline, through the edges, but I'm going to work on the other side first. Still pivoting out from that central guide. So a lot of our signature haircuts are based around varying degrees of disconnection, because we just find that it allows the hairdresser to be a little bit more creative and work on something that's a little bit more bespoke for that individual client, in different ways. I would say that this haircut is the most disconnected because everything's disconnected from everything. There's no guide at all when you're working through that layering. Would you guys say you use much disconnection in the salon?
I never use disconnection.
No?
Not as much as I'd like.
Yeah? What do you think is kind of stopping you guys from doing it?
The fear
Yeah?
of messing it up.
Yeah?
I think that's the main thing for me.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you'll be able to take something away today.
Yeah, it's nice when you can see somebody else do it, so you'll be able to see a result, so you can see that you won't actually mess it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You may find that you use disconnection more than you think you do, with like short haircuts and things like that.
Probably.
Just, yeah, these are really cool, just like little techniques just to put into like really short haircuts, as you say. The campaign for this one was fantastic, wasn't it, Ben?
Yeah, it's really probably one of our most popular, because the image I showed you is that woman with that big bouncy flicky blow dry. Every client wants that, don't they? So it was really, really successful.
Came at the right time as well, like colour melt as well. Our colour melt campaign was for a multi-tonal hair colour, which wasn't highlights.
Yeah.
So actually that's what a lot of people really want at the moment. Like they're like, I just want that, but I don't want the stripy look, and I want it to look, I'm bored of it all looking the same. Similar to this came as like people were wanting strength externally on haircuts, but a lot of movement internally. And I found it worked really well.
Especially if we launched this 2 years ago now, so that was the time of Cheryl Cole with big hair, and everyone wants to be hair. So we often, you probably saw from the images I showed you, we often, when we market a haircut, we often do it on a longer hair model, because we generally find that that will appeal more to clients. So from research we've done, we found that obviously long hair clients, will see a long hair picture and think, yeah, that's really nice. But they'll see a shorter hair picture and think, oh, no, because they can't, a lot of people can't be very much at cutting their hair off, but a client with a shorter haircut will think a short haircut looks nice and a long haircut looks nice. So therefore the longer image will appeal to more clients, hopefully. So that's why we often work with a longer hair model. Although for the 6-point, which we'll be showing you this afternoon, we did shoot a shorter version, but we generally use the longer one for the clients. Right, so I've got my base section in there now. Just roughly dusted off the legs. When I've worked more through here, I'm going to work a little bit scissor on the comb probably and just get that really, really neat. But you can see we've got that kind of shape coming in now. Probably bring that baseline up a little bit towards the end as well. But what I'm going to work on now, I'm doing horizontal graduation, so I'm going to work in horizontal sections, really fine, just start to build this shape up. What are you up to now?
Yeah, I'm just thinking with this, you can really over-direct it because you're going to get a short. It may seem like a lot's coming off, but it's quite a blocky haircut before. So actually, the more you over-direct it, you're going to get slightly shorter layers in there. But because they're arced around each other and because you've got the long pieces in there, it is really quite seamless. And it's just something different, really. So the whole idea is, as I say, the seamless layering pattern. But yeah, so really sort of like pulling it up, loads of tension, directing it over away from the head, and just taking it through. So you've got a short piece on this side, so longer on that side, but as the section behind it falls over it, this piece will actually get like taken in with it, so you won't see it when it's actually drying. It'll create a real soft movement to the hair.
So I'm just working on this horizontal graduation, lifting it out, I'm elevating that up so that I can kind of build up that graduated shape and I can see my guide underneath. Just taking it off. Really important, obviously, as you all know, when you're working to keep your hair nice and wet.
Oceanize is a great cutting agent though as well. It's lovely. It's this humidity at the moment.
Everything dries quickly.
Okay, so the last few sections on here. Round. When I'm sectioning this as well, I tend to sort of like work with the longer side first, just to over-direct it, give me the point, and then I'll gradually get shorter as I come down.
So as a company, we are very much, our cutting style is very much precision based. Our creative director, Sky, is Sassoon trained, so any of you kind of been on Sassoon course or seen Sassoon work, you know it's all perfect. So that's very much how we like to work. So we do all, the majority of our work on wet hair. With a little bit of finishing, personalising, texturising on the dry. But we are very much into kind of precision sectioning, all about the combing. You'll see it when we, especially when we do our one legs and stuff like that. It's all about the combing, getting it really nice. And that's something we teach all the time. So we teach in our NVQ to our newer students and to our advanced as well.
Alright, cool. So, I've been through the top section now, creating the layers. So, really what I need to do now is go through and just cross-check it. Cross-checking is always going to be difficult because you are visually just pulling it up and taking different sections, so that you not follow the guide. So you might find there's slightly longer pieces either side, but that's not to worry, it should balance itself out. Generally, the place to cross-check it would actually be through the middle, where where you sort of like need the band, sort of like should create a V-section through that.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that we're obviously working on disconnection, and we want there to be little different lengths going through there. So what we don't want to do at this stage is bring it all up and then cut it square, because then you're undoing all that work that you've just put in. So as I'm working through, I'm just constantly checking balance, checking the feel. Because I'm working horizontally, I can cross-check vertically. So every now and then just going through, just checking how the shape itself is building. It's an opportunity to take out any little knuckle marks.
Okay, so I sectioned off the front. We did our arc-shaped section. This is through the middle. Picking it up, you can see the section that we had before, and gradually going through the back, through the layers. It's just, you can sort of almost see the indents from where we crossed over with each section. It might be the odd little bit that you just want to tweak, but you just, like Daniel just said, you don't want to go and cut it all off because it just ruins all the hard work we've just done. And that's basically the layering section, so without dropping the length down, you can almost see that it's created a nice sort of pattern. When we do drop it down, all this is going to be filled through. Just want you to see what it looks like without the actual, the main length that we tied up in the pony there. Do you want to come up and take any pictures, or feel free to come and if you need
Have a
to.
touch, have a feel.
Now, when we're cutting these sections, we really don't want to take it from too low. If you start taking it from here, what you might find is the hair's actually broken, especially with finer, blonder hair. And you cut a nice line in there. When you drop this down, it's actually a lot longer, and you think, oh no, before you know, you've actually got to take it to the length you have to be. Generally because this hair's broken, a lot more weaker and a lot more sensitised. So looking at the corner of the occipital bone, working over to the corner of the occipital bone on the other side. We'll just create a nice safety. If the hair's slightly finer at the bottom, you can generally take it a little bit thicker. But again, that's up to your discretion and how you think. You don't want to end up with a load of graduation in there that you didn't need.
Yep.
Being done.
I'm just carrying on with my sections. I'm undecided yet whether I'm going to leave this so that it's kind of tucked or whether I'm going to cut it round. So I'm just kind of leaving that length now so I can kind of decide that later as the shape builds. You can see we're getting that really nice shape building up. It's really hugging the occipital bone coming into the nape, so it's really flattering, kind of feminine shape. My last few sections, then I'm finally going to be getting to my layering.
Okay, so with the head forwards. Obviously the hair's going to rise a fair bit when it's dry, just checking the balance. This hair's obviously through the back here. This has got quite a lot of flexibility, so you have to take that into account as well. So maybe slightly looser tension through the first section.
Worse, isn't it, when you're catching on the gown?
Yeah. Where are you from?
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. What's hairdressing like in Bulgaria?
It's actually
Take out my first tier, which is our safety tier, and this is just a stop you, like Noel said, cutting into the perimeter, cutting too much of the fringe, or if you had longer hair like Noel's, cutting too much around the edges. So combing the hair all towards me, combing round in that arced section, so it's just really easy to take my line. And really, this is what I was talking about us kind of really working on combing. If you get everything combed all the way through, you could almost section it without even having to section it. And that's the aim, really. So it's just really nice and easy. And there's none of that kind of trying to pick at it, get it right. You just got it right in one go. So, Rika Scotch, a little bit of a kind of a grown out fringe there. So I'm going to take my section a little bit further back so that I've got a really good amount of hair to work with on the perimeter. So I'm going to take mine about 2 inches back from my first section.
So we just worked all the way to the top. I'm probably going to go the long way around this actually. Okay. So again, we're going to take a radial section, so the points are nice and even on both sides. Take a radial section to work with the front of the head, so the radial is always at the back of the ear. So this was at the front, so we're just going to shift it here, so we've actually got some of the back section as a guide so we can bring it forwards to the front so we know where we are.
Okay, so I've got my first arced safety guide section in there. Clip that out of the way so I'm not going to accidentally touch it. And then I'm going to go in with my next section, following the line of that previous section, combing that over and taking it about ½ an inch thick. Down over it, checking it's balanced. So I've got my first section about ½ an inch thick. Back up. And I'm going to take it in 2 goes because it's quite a wide section, so it's hard to take it in one. Obviously, bearing in mind, I know I've got this underneath section which I want to lay over the top of, so I'll kind of remember that with my length. I can direct it over and really kind of working with my body to make sure that I get a nice steep line into my arm up. Lots of tension. And then cutting in that line.
I'm just sectioning this with a ponytail again, just to get out of the way, just so it's nice and clean for you, but obviously you've got to think when you're in the salon, you've got to keep it practical. It's not. How long do you get for a haircut at your salons?
45 minutes.
45 minutes. Thanks. You're like, whatever, I'm not yet.
Okay, so I've cut that section so you can see we've got a nice short to long line going through there. And that longest section kind of falls over. So now that is cut, I'm going to comb it into that safety so that I don't accidentally pick it up when I'm putting in my next section. So comb that all into the same piece. Get that clipped. Take the next one, mirroring that arced line. And this time I'm going to be over directing the opposite way. So as Noel did, I'm going to be spinning my client round. So it's just easy.
I like that shape for the back.
Yeah.
Cool. So actually, so this is where we're going to work with a classic full graduation, so the shaping at the front of the hair. It's almost like, well, we're going to use an arc section, but the opposite way to the way we did the layering. So we're going to take out the sections that we're actually going to want to cut. So again, it's really important that we direct round one point. I can just get you to pop your head down for us. So this is actually swooping into a section into like where you want it to be. So actually, if I get it round like this, I'll be able to just sort of like drop my finger and then it sort of like creates that sort of shape. It's actually, it looks tricky, but actually when you think of it like that, it's really quite easy. It just takes practice just to actually get that shape right. It took me quite a while actually. I was quite a slow learner when I first learned this. but then when you get it, it just all of a sudden clicks. It's nice to sort of use your thumbs. As hairdressers have always generally got access to mirrors, so using the corner points of the head will actually just create a nice shape, so I know where I want to go. And then with the comb, with this section inside of the comb, just using the corner point of the head. And again, this doesn't always go in the first time, but there's no shame in taking it out and trying it for a second time. So I'm going to comb the hair for your face.
How long do you guys get for a cut and blow dry?
40 minutes.
40 minutes.
Yeah.
It varies in our salon, so in my salon I work it's 45.
Is it?
Yeah.
What?
Sneaky little 5 minutes.
How did you manage that?
I don't know, it's this.
God. Okay. Yeah, 40 minutes for us. We do a 20-minute shampoo and massage, so it sort of like staggers itself out throughout the day. So really got 20 minutes. Okay, cool. So nice and clean. You pop your head forward. I'll take a picture of that. So this is what we call a arc section. So it's from the corner points of either side of the head, working just forwards to probably it's about an inch and a bit, depending on the size of the fringe, really, and how much weight you want to leave in there. But you really we're working with the perimeter, so you need enough perimeter in there. But generally, most people have got some sort of a fringe. So if they haven't got a fringe, it's great. It's really nice and easy just to put that shaping in there. If they have got a fringe, which most people do, you sort of like just have to pretend when we're doing the middle bit that that bit's there, even if it's not. Okay.
Can we get this up profile?
Yeah, of course.
Sorry.
It's all right.
So my last probably 2 sections now, so still just only directing alternate angles.
No, it doesn't.
Alright, so I'm going to take a central profile section, so about the width of the nose, let's say. This area is going to be the start of the graduation for the shaping in the front now. After we've done that, I'm going to gradually work down and do it nice and even on both sides. That means even though she's got a fringe heavy on one side, if it does move, she's going to be able to, it won't affect the actual haircut or the balance. With this as well, I'm also going to point cut it, so to keep it really nice and soft. If you go in with a blunt cut, you can do that, make a real nice heavy line around the external shape, but the teardrop's generally designed to be a soft, free-moving, like flowing haircut, so it's actually quite nice just to point cut it. I use my nice big chunky scissors for this.
Okay, so I've done all the layering inside my horseshoe section now. Obviously I've still got a lot of work to do with the perimeter. I'm going to have to connect some areas a little bit because obviously it's quite long. I'm just going to take my central profile section through and just kind of have a look at how the layering is lying. So as we said earlier, you don't want to at this point kind of cut it all square, but if you've got any areas that are really way longer, this is when you could just tweak it a little bit. You can always do something.
We find a lot of these techniques will come through on like, a lot of our haircuts when we've done.
Yeah.
Like, so keep it simple. It's really easy to overcomplicate things sometimes.
Definitely. Okay, so I'm going to put in my arc section as well to work on that front perimeter section. So obviously I don't have length like Noel does to put in the radial, so I'm just going to work straight away with an arc section.
So when I'm working down here, I've actually got my guide from my previous section that we're working with. Did you need a time check that?
Yes.
So what past the
Oh, okay. So I'm kind of working with that as a little bit of a guide as well.
Within the salon, do you use quite a lot of sort of wrap drying and things like that then, or?
So, some, but I would say we,
More
yeah,
of a
I
nice
mean-
mixture rather than all.
yeah, mixture. I'd say like for this type of haircut, definitely. You know, like a Devon blow dry. But we do definitely put a lot of effort into our finishing and blow drying techniques. We're not ones to blast dry straight or anything like that.
No, it's just the only thing I found. Like I've done, the salon I used to work in, they sent one bloke off, and there's a course that lasts, I think it's like 7 months or something. It's about 15 grand, where they literally go from start to finish everything, and then he come back and run all the courses for us.
Okay.
And literally it was sort of all Denman based, like literally everything, long hair, short hair, everything was just Denman. And I think it's quite nice sometimes to just give it a bit of a mixture, and it sometimes shows things off better without. It's like without sort of, do you know what I mean? Like it's nicer to mix it up.
You don't want to
Yeah.
be a one-trick pony.
No.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Was it a Sassoon course?
The one he did,
It was, yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, because they only use...
Yeah, he literally all he
Yeah.
done was that, and the thing is, it was really nice, and I did really like it, and I do use it, but it's nice to mix it up a bit.
No, definitely. I think, yeah, I've done a couple of Sassoon courses, and it's all about, I mean, these, and they won't even use a round brush, and actually their salons are so strict, so client came in wanting a big curly blow dry, they just wouldn't do it, you know,
No.
because that's just not their thing. And I think, you know, it's great to stay true to who you are, but like Noel said, Sassoons are known for that. In other salons, if you kind of said, I'm only ever going to use this, and then you get that client, no, I'm not doing you because you don't want big brands, you're kind of really limiting yourself, aren't you? About who you can have and what you can and can't do.
I want to be able to do everything.
Definitely.
It's nice to know that.
So just working in arc sections, just bringing this all forward, just making sure that it will work with my perimeter. Bring it around and connecting it to those sides that I've cut.
All right, cool. So, you'll flip over.
Oh, it's to just run my hands through to see how much you cut.
Should feel a bit
It's
lighter.
gonna feel good.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. So the actual length's in there, the layers are in there, but at the moment it's probably a bit like two haircuts. You've got the disconnection that we've worked on the top, you've actually got the perimeter in there. So It's really important. We still want it to be a disconnected haircut. That's the main thing. That's the beauty of it. But at the same time, you don't want it to be two haircuts. Like you don't want it to be a complete like wedge. And, not that it will be because you've got this softened layers. But what I'm going to do now is just work through almost in orange segments and just point cut the layers, the disconnection through into the perimeter.
I'm just planning all of my sections forward now, just seeing what I need to cut, what I need to connect in.
So, first section through the back, you just want to lift it up and see where the disconnection is. You just get a feel for it. Again, you don't want to cut off bits that you don't want to cut off. This hair is going to be quite forgiving because it's so thick, but actually, if you're working on finer hair, you've got to be really careful. And if there's nothing to cut off, then don't cut it. Probably a good rule for our hairdressing.
That's something that I'm sure you probably find it when you're teaching. There's nothing to cut, don't cut it. But when you've got, especially the younger stylists, think, oh, there's nothing to cut, but I picked it up now, so I'll just. Do you find that? And just. No.
So really just pulling it out away from the point of the head. I can see where I'm sort of like disconnection, where my layers are through there. Just that point really, just want to work into that. Just take the point off. Again, being really careful with the perimeter, especially around the front. The last thing you want is to do a beautiful haircut and then all of a sudden you've got a big hole in the front. That's Do you have like signature haircuts at your salons at the moment? Is there any sort of guides? No?
No, I'd love to. It's a little one-man band at one.
Is it?
Yeah. Quite
Is it
small.
small?
Yeah, really small.
Is it a one-off?
Yeah. It's quite nice to get quite a lot of freedom
Yeah.
to kind of do what you want to do and how you